This is your weekly announcement for week 5. I am going to come back to the exam, but I first wanted to make sure you knew what to do for this week. I put the due date for Tuesday just because Monday is Valentine's Day, in case any of you had any plans. So your due date for the study plan and the quiz on cell membranes is February 15th. There is a video that explains to you how to set up your Membranes Alive lab that's due Tuesday, and also your photosynthesis and cellular respiration labs that are due in the future. And then this is your assignment. You turn in your Membranes Alive lab. This is the one you do with the eggs. And you'll turn that in there. Okay, so let's go back to the exam. I did want to mention a few things. The exam grades were actually really good. I had a few students that emailed asking why their grade dropped so much. And unfortunately, that's kind of expected whenever you do the exam, whenever you take the exam, because most people are not going to have as high of an exam grade as they do grades on their quizzes and their assignments each week. So most of you should have had a grade drop, and I hate that, but at the same time, you can't expect your grades to, be in the 90s and hundreds all the time, and unless you make those kinds of grades on your exams as well. But the exam does count 60% of your grade, whereas the other assignments count like 20% if you add them together. So that's the reason your grades dropped, but actually, your grades were really good overall for a first exam in Bio 111. So if you made a passing grade, which would be a 60 or above, then you did better than most students do on the first exam in Bio 111. So I want to go to exam 1, and I want to, the questions, the multiple choice questions were from, they weren't any surprise to you because they came from your study plan, either from the show what you know questions or from the questions within the study plan called try it or practice questions. Some of them may have been reworded slightly just so that you couldn't, look the answers up as easily. But then some of them were word for word from those questions. But I do want to go over your essay questions. Let's see. Trying to find an easy way to find them quickly. Let's see here. Okay, here's one, or here are the two essay questions. All right, so the first one shows you a chart of amino acids, and it asks you about the categories of amino acids. So the categories are going to be over here on the left side of each chart. Nonpolar, aliphatic R groups, negatively and positively charged R groups, polar uncharged R groups, nonpolar aromatic R groups. Those are your 5 groups. So when I ask you about the groups, that's the groups that it's referring to. So the question says, which categories of amino acid would you expect to find on the surface of a soluble protein? And which would you expect to find in the interior of the soluble protein? And then what distribution of amino acids would you expect to find in a protein embedded in a lipid bilayer? And then there's a note about making sure not to plagiarize. So let's go back to the study plan and see if we can't find this exact question in the study plan. It would be in week 3. This will help you on the next exam because this is kind of what you can expect. I'll do the a similar pattern of choosing questions. So let's see, let's go to, this was about proteins. So let's go to the section on proteins and just look for that question. Amino acids, I bet it's in that section. Okay, here it is. Here's the same practice question. So you just click show answer, and this is the answer. It says polar and charged amino acid residues are more likely to be found on the surface of the proteins, and nonpolar are more likely to be found in the interior. In membrane proteins, the nonpolar and hydrophobic amino acid side chains associate with the hydrophobic tails, while polar and charged side chains interact with the hydrophilic heads. So that would be the like a complete answer to that question. I would have given you 5 points for that. So now let's go to the second essay question. This is week 4. All right, exam 1, edit quiz. And I believe it was question 32, if I remember. Yeah. So this is just, this one was easier. This is the levels of protein structure. You just had to list, well, it does say describe, but I actually gave you credit if you just listed. It says describe the levels of protein structure and then explain the importance of protein structure. So what we're looking for here, I'll just scroll down to the answer, is for you to list primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary. A brief description of primary is that it is the sequence of amino acids in the protein chain. And the secondary is whether it's folded into a pleated sheet or a beta helix. The tertiary is the overall three-dimensional shape of the protein. And quaternary is when you have several polypeptides that are linked to each other. And the structure of protein determines its function. That's the importance of the structure. So that's what I was looking for there. And if you answered all 5 of those parts of the question correctly, you got 5 points. So if anyone has any other questions, make sure that you send me an email or post your question on the weekly Q&A. And if you have any questions about the egg lab this week, just let me know. If you're going to be late with the egg lab, sometimes that happens. Just make sure you send me an email and let me know that. Have a great week, and I probably won't do another announcement until after Valentine's Day. So happy Valentine's Day to everyone.